So we are so blessed to be pushed by these number of identities that make us complete. And the second thing that you said is women encouraging other women. So thank you so much for being here and speaking to the audience. Our last speaker for this afternoon is Bushra Amiwala. Bushra Amiwala is the youngest Muslim elected official in the United States. She holds an elected seat on the Skokie Board of Education. She's a committed voice for the underserved citizen. Bushra seeks to ensure that our nation's future is in good hands by building a compassionate, politically engaged, and passionate community. Please welcome Bushra Amiwala.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Being the last speaker after two dynamic voices, I don't know, I can't follow that, but super excited to be here today. Thank you all so much. Thank you to the Counsel General and of course his wife Asma. Thank you to the two fantastic speakers that went before me, and thank you, Arisha, you're doing an amazing job moderating this. Love this. I'll keep things brief because I know a lot of people in the crowd today, which I'm super excited about. And what I think is so fun is that I actually structured my talk and my comments very similar to the way that Sadia and Saima did. I wanted to talk about my parents' journey first. I feel as though my story is incomplete without sharing my dad's story first. My father came to the United States from Karachi, Pakistan with $20 in his pocket and an abundance of dreams. He worked extremely hard to make ends meet and worked every job from bussing tables, to flipping burgers, to delivering pizzas, to driving a taxi, to later owning his own clothing store on the west side of Chicago called Chicago Style. And I'm so excited to see that I am the product of the American dream for my parents. I'm actually the first person in my family to graduate from a private university. And I attended DePaul University on a scholarship. And it's those everyday milestones that reminded me I was making an impact for my family. It wasn't until the end of my senior year of high school, I took an AP Government and Politics class, right? College level government and politics, and I learned a lot about the electoral process. And I also learned about the divide between Democrats and Republicans. This was summer of 2016. This was right after President Donald Trump got the Republican nomination for his campaign. And I had a lot of friends tell me that they'd be voting for Donald Trump to be president, which I was a little confused by because I had friends who were friends with someone who looked like me, yet politically they were supporting someone who had policies to sanction people like me. So I wanted to get a first-hand look of what it meant to be Republican. So I decided to work for the most powerful Republican in the state of Illinois, Senator Mark Kirk, and became his head field intern. And it was someone on that campaign that saw leadership ability and potential in me that I definitely did not see in myself at the time. And they asked me to run for public office. And I was 18, a freshman in college, and had many reasons to not do something like this at the time. But ignorance is bliss. I decided, why not? And decided to go for it and ran against someone who'd been in office for 16 years. And I had just turned 19 years old. So, obviously I lost. But the first time I generated 30% of the vote, and about 80% of my votes came from first-time voters, and that's where I won. And it was the person that I ran for office against that saw leadership ability in me that I definitely did not see in myself after losing my first campaign. And he asked me to run for public office again. So I did, 6 short months later, and in a crowded race of 7 people, I got elected. And in April 2019, I went down in the Chicago History Museum as the youngest Muslim elected official in the United States. Wow. And, something that I think is really exciting about my story and my journey is that it's the story of an ordinary person who's emerged into an extraordinary leadership role, some of the things that I've been able to accomplish since getting elected to the Board of Education spans not only my school district, but the state of Illinois and even the entire United States, which I'm super excited about. So everything from I've been able to bring halal food for our students, and which I'm very excited about in 73.5, but also I was invited to testify in front of the Illinois General Assembly to showcase the positive contributions of Muslim Americans in history, because as someone who's a product of the school district, I found that the only time we talked about Muslim Americans was when we talked about 9/11. And our representation goes far beyond that when it comes to math, science, politics, and far beyond and in between. So I testified in front of the Illinois General Assembly, and now every school in the state of Illinois has to teach the positive contributions of Muslim Americans in history. And finally, to close, I'd also like to share, I think, the impact of positive women in my life. My mother is someone who stood by me at the forefront of my campaign, and she's actually here today, so shout out to Mom, she can wave in the back. And what's so funny about this as well, and I hear similarities from some of the stories shared, is when I first told my parents I wanted to run for office, my mom said, no. But on election day, she took lunch for all of my volunteers and hand delivered them personally. And I had 80 volunteers across my first election. So it was huge. And it's things like that that keep me going. Most notably recently, I was invited by President Barack Obama for a 2-hour meeting to talk about, as a consultant for the development of his presidential center on the south side of Chicago. And to be a normal person from Skokie, right? I feel like I'm like an ordinary person. To be invited in that capacity means the world to me. Yes. And it's because of people like everyone in this room who's paved the way for someone like me. And it's also people who uplifted and inspired my voice. I know many of you from my fundraising dinner who have come multiple times. And that's where the potential is. And that's where the future lies. It's seeing leadership and people like me uplifting and amplifying my voice. And to close, I got really exciting national media attention when I ran for office. And a lot of people said I agree, didn't know what Pakistan was. And I was everything from on the cover of Time magazine to Glamour magazine's College Woman of the Year. There are 3 documentaries about me, one on Hulu, one on Amazon, one on PBS. And I'm just this ordinary young Pakistani girl is how they say it. So really excited to be here today to share some of the things that we've collectively been able to accomplish due to the support for not only those who have paved the way for me, but also the ones that continue to uplift my voice. And I actually just recently visited Pakistan, which was amazing. I went in July and got an award called the Positive Face of Pakistan Award from the Parliament, and got a shout out in front of all of the government in Pakistan too, which was super cool. And I was able to give a lot of interviews in Urdu, so meri Urdu bhi achhi ho gayi hai. And finally, it's because of events like this that keep me going. I think in the guise of being the first in some capacity, or being the youngest, or being the only, we've all been there. We've been the only Pakistani in the room before. But the goal is to bring others with us so that never happens again. It's to bring, 5 other, invite them to attend with you, and that's what I hope we can walk away with today. It's to really break down those exclusive opportunities and make it inclusive for Pakistani women and men beyond. Thank you.